filmed on a shoestring budget somewhere in the bowels of Richmond. It's time for Let's Get Drunk and Talk About It with your host, Nate Peterson.
So, this is Let's Get Drunk and Talk About It. We're here with Alan Shinzias, former candidate for Richmond City Mayor, Chad Ingold, also on a previous episode, also former mayoral candidate, and Coleman Pride, who is the father-in-law of Joe Morrissey at the moment. So, this will certainly be an interesting discussion. Let's start off with some drinks. Is anybody down for an introductory shot?
Sure.
All right, cool. You guys are staying sober?
Yeah, I don't drink.
All right, no problem. I guess it'll be me and Chad again.
Yeah, well, I learned my lesson back in the early days of social media on public access TV, where I was the host, and about 3 times a year I would stop over at an architect friend's house at like 5 o'clock, and showtime was 7 o'clock, and it was beer time. And I'd get 2 beers, and I really would get in trouble when I got 3 beers. And one night I went on there, and the show opened up, and I was a little bit woo. The show opened up with an old man who was a regular caller, with the nastiest drawl. The nastiest drawl.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Don't you think we got too many monkeys down there at City Hall spending our money?" And I just went over the edge. I said, "It doesn't have a goddamn mother 13 non-deleted expletives in a row." The station manager from the public access channel, he opens the door and he's down on his knees going, "Hail Mary, please make him stop cussing, please." And then the tape of the show, I remember there's this look in my eyes. He's going down on his knees, and I kind of, but I'm still putting out the expletives, and then I ended it with, "And I praise her every night with all that I have in my heart and soul, that just like the dinosaurs, you and your kind will disappear from the face of the earth." And I hung up on him. The next caller was the sweetest little old lady, genteel voice. "He got you going now, didn't he, honey? You shouldn't let him get you all riled up."
Oh,
but 13 expletives, non-deleted, because it's public access and cable. You can do anything you want to. But that was the last time I went on air, with alcohol in me.
Well, your
last time.
Your mark of shame is my hallmark. So that is what I'm known for. That is what the point of the show is. So I appreciate your willingness to abstain, but me and Chad are going to imbibe. I guess we'll here. Ready? This is 99 butter. What's it called? Butterscotch. So
cheers.
Good luck. All right, before we get to the good stuff, let's just talk about some recent stuff that's been going on. Obviously, Alan, you've been really involved. You changed your, Alan Shinzias poster to
Right.
Alan Shinzias for John Belials for mayor. So I feel like a lot of the, I guess what I called them was the community candidates, which were me, you, Chad, and a few others who didn't make it on the ballot in the end. Have kind of rallied around John Belials. I feel like he does deserve it. He's been definitely making. They even in the mayorathon, the announcer said you were the only one to actually have explicit details about your plans for schools, and obviously, Chad, it's a big thing for you. So let's talk about, as you call it, his momentum.
Yeah, he is. I did some composition that I'm getting ready to try and create, visuals to go with it. But I'm likening it to a NASCAR race.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Stoney. The Democratic machine, their whole thing has 3 wheels on it, because Morrissey's come along and taken a huge chunk away from the Democratic base. They've further been weakened, with missing glass and this and fenders gone, because Belials has took some, Mosby's took some, even Barry's taken some. So they got the vehicle, which is greatly impaired, and then foolishly they've got a guy who's never been inside a race car before. And so that's their candidate. The race started and everybody takes off, and John comes out safe and cautious and determined and alert. And the hot dogs, Joe, way out front, grandstanding and this and that. Everybody, he's in the middle of the pack, and all of a sudden he's found his lane and he's hit it to the floor and he is passing.
Yeah.
He has really got it to the floor. And there's no way Stoney is ever going to be able to build the kind of campaign, because in the end, his best and only hope is the money. And that money usually does lots of advertising, but they put at every voting place, from opening to closing, people, I believe, paid. Here's the Democratic ballot. Here's the Democratic ballot. Well, a lot of people are going to have their minds firmly made up this time before they get there. And that's where John comes in. Because what's happening, the buzz in the streets has turned him on. He's gone from a 10-watt bulb to a 110-watt bulb, and he's like really glowing. It's not like he's become something that he never was. He's letting what's been inside him and hidden because of his introverted nature come out.
Yeah.
He's encouraged and able to overcome his own personality and style and really come out and meet people where they are and let what's inside of him be known.
Yeah.
And that's making a big difference. And the funny thing is, it's like this snowball effect. Once he opened up to that, but it started at the North Side Forum a week back. He took it in that forum. It was a smaller, but it was the same kind of energy. He owned the room. He owned the room that night. And that was 2 weeks after the court trial, when we uncloaked from a secret, closed Facebook work group with 50 people in, that he and I started and invited people in to build momentum for John Belials.
Yeah.
And it's fed and nourished and encouraged. He has gotten together for listening sessions with people. He has got the best and brightest ideas from the field and the streets. And you can talk a little bit about what you experienced in that phase of that momentum, and when we first talked about it back when the court date first came down.
Well, I feel like we're reaching a good point where people are taking a serious look at the candidates anyway, and the mayoral-thon that he did well in recently is one of those events. And since they're looking for people to talk about policy and less about personality for
That was a great thing they did.
reasons,
They said this is not going to be a tax on your opponents, and Jack Berry got booed for that, which I thought was fantastic because they
booed and jeered.
Yeah, exactly, and he deserved it. I feel like it was not. I mean, Joe baited him. I know Joe was like looking for that. Like that was just a trap that Joe had laid for him. But still, he took the bait and he shouldn't have. He should have been taking a higher ground. Yeah, but they focused on policy, which was great.
It did, and I think he showed also the most concern from the candidates on stage with the people of Richmond as citizens. You know, he talked about a lot of things that would improve neighborhoods, that would improve schools, that would hopefully improve the general infrastructure. I think he made the comment, a rising tide lifts all boats, but not everybody's in the boat. And that's important because, you know, a lot of that shiny new project talk is kind of about that idea that a rising tide lifts all boats.
And he was funny too. I mean, he made that great comment about Richmond, people of Richmond are equally bad pedestrians, drivers, and cyclists.
Yeah, right.
You know, that was funny. That got a good laugh.
That's what I noticed as well. Most people seem to have been talking well about Stoney or Belials.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. And even though I've been very loud in public about it, I always approach them from, so do you have a sense of which candidate is drawing you or pulling on your heart, or, you know, where are you headed? What's your struggle? What are you trying to sort out? And they say, well, you know, it's this and that, but wow, and it was wow. John, one lady said, I've known John since he was in Cub Scouts with my kid, and I didn't know that side of him. You know, and so people who've known him his whole life. I mean, he was 5 years old on his birthday when his dad won his first election and had to share his birthday with the bright lights of the TV cameras. And he's naturally shy. That had to have been, you know, like set in motion, this whole process of, you know, this introverted and withdrawn. So he's really had to work at letting what's inside him. He's not becoming something else to impress us.
Yeah.
He's just letting what's inside him come out.
Yeah.
And getting his quiet self aside and opening the door and letting people in and coming out to meet people.
Yeah.
And really, it's been an amazing process.